So in the navigation, the first important command is ls. Ls is the command that will let you know what are the contents you have within your directory. So I mean, now there are a couple of ways. If you remember the if you remember the file system that we have, that is starting with the the root. Root is the parent of all the file system that we have. It's the father of all the structure of the directories we have on the Linux. And within that, then we're gonna have we have more directories, right? And after this, everything that you see, the /, that / is nothing but a separator. This one has a significant, as in is the directory and the root directory. And from after the first one that you see, those are just a separator, right? And any directory that starts with the /, then your path is the absolute path. And using absolute path is the best practice. That will never error out if you are doing anything. And especially if you are doing automation and you are writing a script, it is highly recommended that you always use absolute path, not the relative path. And simply put, what is the absolute path? Any path that is beginning with the root. I mean, any path that starts with the /, that's your absolute path. Anything that is not starting with the relative path, that is that is not an absolute path, and it becomes the relative path, right? So also, and it is considered to be the best practice. If you have the habit of using this while you are navigating or working, then it's good enough. Otherwise, you can get away from while working on the shell, interacting directly. But in automation, in automation also you can get away, but you have very high chances of making mistakes based on where the script is being running from, if you do that. So we'll see that as well. And this is where the ls comes in first. So you can peek in, like you can sit on one location and then you can look at the other location. For example, this is the root directory that I have, and I'm gonna have a home directory where all the users will be present, and root is the special user which will have its own directory called root. So the home directory for the root is always going to be /root, right? So this is the home directory for the user that we have, root. Any other non-root user or non-root user, they will be present here in the home directory. And then we have etc or etc or etc directory, where we have the configuration, the var directory, usr directory, there are device and the proc and so many other directories that are there. etc is very significant because you have to often deal with this one, because most of the time on the Linux, all the configurations are going to be present here. You can keep configuration anywhere else. It really doesn't matter for the Linux, as long as you wire them up properly, your application, it will work. But this is considered to be the best practice, as in if somebody who just know Linux and you bring that person, okay, we are having an issue with this certain application, please go ahead and check. That person, first thing he will say, okay, so this application is not working, let me go and see the configuration. The first inclination for that person is to go and look that file in the etc directory. So that's why if you are bringing up a customized application, which is like homegrown, most of the time in an organization, you would be responsible of managing that sort of application, where you have the in-house developer that are building the application, which is just used in your organization, or your organization is responsible of maintaining or making that application. So in that case, you guys have to come up with your own installation methods, and you should keep everything in the etc, all the data in the data directory and all those. So it's become easy for person who knows that, right? And that's what we have to make. It's while working or while doing any sort of work, and especially while doing the automation, we want to make sure that whatever we are doing, it's being followed a best practice that would help next person who would come after you, or the next person who would probably take over after you. So he won't have to invest same amount of time that you have invested. So in IT, the another term is first time. If somebody is in first time, if somebody is trying to do something, then that is called time invested. If somebody does the second time, that is time wasted. So as a company, you don't want that. You want to have one person invest time, and then everyone should benefit from that, right? Do not reinvent the wheel. And how do we do that is by following the best practice and documenting all of this stuff, whatever is being done. So these are the best practice. These are the recommendation by the Linux. So they are already documented. You don't need to explicitly put them in anywhere, pin them down. So you should follow the best practice. In the home directory, based on whatever the name we have, so we will have the home directories, and within that we can have further directories if we have created, right? So when user logs in, he is actually you will be present here in your home directory, whatever the username would be. So there are methods by which we can connect. We'll talk about those methods in detail. Because the servers, if we have seen, the servers are sitting in the data centers, right? Whether you are working on the cloud or you're working on prem, they're not. You're always connecting them remotely. So there are protocols, and there are securities are also it's of utmost concern. So we'll talk about the different protocol that is used to connect to the servers, how securely we can connect them. Because that is very, very important for us as well. We should know the in and outs of that protocol. Is SSH is the protocol for the Linux, and RDP is the protocol for the Windows. While Windows protocol is not very complicated, because they simply support the username and password, but Linux has few things that we want to know about the SSH. So when you log in, when you do a remote login, anybody has question? Okay. If no question, then please mute. Let me mute you guys. All right. So if I'm sitting here and I want to see the directory or content that is present probably here in the temp directory, let's say. So there are a couple of ways for me to do that. Like I will be sitting here. So when I run the command call pwd, so if I do ls, all I can see whatever is present in my home directory, right? So let me go ahead and show you guys that. So right now I've logged in, and if I want to know which directory I am, last week I told you guys the tilde is the sign that can actually gonna tell you where you are. And most of the Linux system now, they are coming with that path. Otherwise, there are some scientific and some secure Linux where you don't see the path, because if somebody is standing behind you or he is able to see your screen, he wouldn't know where you are, right? So normally all the commands that are there, the first command is the pwd, which gonna tell you, it's going to print your working directory wherever you are present. And if you logged in like I did, you will always find yourself in a home directory. So if I were to just run the ls, right? We have seen the ls, the man ls, and how you see whether you want to see the man page or help page is by simply listing the this command, and this will tell you whether it's a shell program or it's a shell built-in. So these are the shell programs, right? And the sequence is first, if you just run the ls, it will first try to run this program. So there are a couple of programs. One is coming with your OS, and another one is user specific as well. Both programs probably gonna do the same, but these are the sequence. If something else were to execute, we'll see about the sequencing and when we discuss about the path, the environment path. Sorry. So this will be executed first. So these are all the programs, whether this one is executed or this one. So what you want to go for, it's a man ls, right? If it was a shell built-in, then it would have been help ls. So that is also a thing when when to use what. So these are the synopsis. How do you want to read it? How you should read it is by the square square bracket thing is optional, and this is optional, and these are the ellipses. You want to remember or memorize that, because everywhere you'll see that. And this is a very common way to represent or present your synopsis, is the usage. How do you use that? And if you know what they mean, you should be able to work out with any usage. So you don't need to go anywhere at all. You have everything at your disposal. You can use the shell way, or you can simply do the man ls on the Google as well, and that will also take you to the man pages. If you are finding it difficult to read or navigate here on the on the pager. So here right now is the pager. So it's coming as a page for me. I can do scroll up and scroll down, and I can also do a search. So if you are not comfortable at the beginning, you can do something like that, and this will also bring you to the Linux man page maintained by the man.org. So it's the same thing we have, and by default, if we don't, ls doesn't take any anything as an argument, right? The option is also optional because it's wrapped with a square bracket, and the file is also optional because this is also wrapped with a square bracket. So what does that mean? If I were to run the ls command here, all I could see whatever present here. If I want to see something here, then I have a couple of ways. First, I can just change my PWD, the print working directory, to the temp. So that's normally the newbies does, and if you are also comfortable doing that, you could do that. But this is the part where you want to get comfortable. You should be able to know where you are in the system and where do you want to look at the peek in. So while doing running this way, like you can do cd, and then the way to do that is one more thing that we didn't talk about that day is there is a special directories we have here. Okay, let me get rid of this. Yeah. So if I do ls, I see all the directories that were created, right? So backup 01, Linux, nodes, and this file was already there. We use mkdir command to create these, and same thing with this one. Now, if I do -a, which if you have seen in the man page, a is gonna list do not ignore entries with the starting with the dot. So any file that is starting with the dot, which means that is the hidden file. Right? So in Linux, any file starts with dot, that file is the hidden file. Let me put this here. So when you do normal ls, you will not see that, and when we run with the -a, we can see all the hidden files. So there is a dot and dot bash logout, dot config, all the dots. There are so many things. Previously, we just had like what 5 or 6 files, which was presented to us. Now you could see there are so many files that are available. I can also do -L8 combination of these two. It will do the long listing for me, and I can see more information. So all the files that I'm looking, those are here. So dot here, just single dot, so this is also a dot, right? And one more thing, if you look at here, right, I told you how to recognize whether this is a file or this is a directory. So this dot, if you look at this side, it's a D, which means this dot is actually a directory. And the next one is also a directory, right, double dot. And then the dot backup is also directory, the backup is also directory, the backup 01 is also directory. So you have D everywhere. And when you don't have the D, which means these are the files. So this dot bash history is not a directory, rather it's a file. So this dot, it means your single dot means your current directory. Again, single dot is equivalent to the PWD. Whatever you have in the PWD, that's actually being represented by the single dot. And double dot means your parent directory. So if you look at the file system right now, which I have drawn here, if this is my current directory, right? If this is my single dot, then who's my parent? Home. Home is my parent directory. So when I do pwd or when I do ls-l command run here, I see everything here, and I see dot, which is this directory, and double dot, which is this directory, right? So if I were to do ls dot dot, I mean, if I can do cd, I mean, that's the way, like, I want to see what else, who else is present here, like what other users are here. So I can simply do cd dot dot. If I do cd dot dot, I will, from here I will come back. I'll find myself. I'm sitting here then, right? And if I run ls, then I will be able to see who all are present here. One user that is gonna be for sure, that's me, because if I go here and do the ls, that from here everything will be listed for me. And one user is definitely going to be me, and the other users, if there are any, right? So let's go and see that in action. So I can do cd dot dot, and if you look at this one, it has changed. Previously it was tilde, and tilde or tilde, it means that's your home directory. So /home / whatever the name of the user that you're logged in with, right? So now I'm here. If I do ls, so you can see there are more than one user that I have, right? So basically now you are able to see that there are users here. No. So I'm one of the user, and there is another user called this thing. What do we have? And we have another user called local admin. So I'm sitting here and I'm able to see this. If I do this, I mean, does the home has a parent, right? Yes, home also. So homes, the parent of the home is this / guy, right? And if I were to do that thing again, long listing with all the hidden files, I can see there is a dot and then there is a double dot, right? So this home directory also have a parent directory, and that parent, if you visualize here, that is this guy. So I can also do double dot again, and now I will find myself that I'm present here, right? So from here I'm here now, and what I'm doing is cd dot dot. That's what I did here as well. So I'm here. So while doing this, I mean, this is the relative path, by the way, because I did cd, I used change directory command, and I have not supplied a absolute path, which is my path is not beginning with the / root path. So this is because this is not beginning with the / which is the root, which means this is not absolute. And then if this is not absolute, then you only have the one remaining, that is the relative path, right? So that's the way so this is a relative path. Now I can do ls here as well, and I can see what things are present. So right now I'm running ls here, right? So I'm able to see everything, the home, root, etc, temp. So let's take a look while we are here. Let's take a look what directories we have. So we have quite a few. A bin directory is where all the commands are present, and if you look at the bin, and one more interesting thing that we talked about last time, if you look, this is not dash or not d, right? So far we have seen a lot of dash and d's, right? Dash means the file, d means the directory. Now look at what we have. This is a link. Link means it's a shortcut to something that we have created. So there are few types of link. We'll see about the links in details. But if you have any familiarity with the Windows, and if you want to understand what are the links, in Windows we have something called shortcut. Is on your desktop, you have all the shortcut of the application. Whether you have a game, whether you have some application, there is always a shortcut present on the desktop, which you can double click and it will open up the application. So that application is not present on the Windows. Rather, there is a shortcut, and when you click on that, it will take you to the place wherever the application is installed. And in Windows, it's always C program files, and from there, that particular executable will be executed. Right, the exe file will run, and then you'll have yourself your application. So it is the same thing here as well. And then there are a couple of links, types of links we have. We'll talk about those. So L stands for links, and whether you see what the content of this file or this file, they are going to be the same, because they are the same file, because this bin is actually pointing to this one. So this is the shortcut which always gonna take you here, right? So bin is the shortcut for the user bin, and you have all your commands. So the ls command that we are using, the pwd command that we are using, the cd command that we are using, they are all present here. So there are few locations where they will be present, and especially they're going to be in the binary. So you have bin stands for binary. So you have all your binary. These are the commands, and they will be present here, or user binary or local binaries. So there are few locations where a system level binaries will be present, and the user specific binaries will also be present. Then we have boot, where all the boot level information. Device is the external ones. etc is something it's important for us. Like I said, all the configurations files gonna be. Home directory is all your home users are present, and these are again the they are the symbols. Again, they are pointing to the USR. USR stands for Universal System Resources of the. I mean, there are few definitions or few full form for that, but this is actually originated. It was intended for this. USR was user, but later they changed to home, and USR were given some definition. So different thought of people, or different distros or families of the Linux or Unix. I mean, from the Unix itself, we have BSD, we have Solar, other operating systems. So they have their own, full forms for that. So no need to get into those at this moment. I mean, which is the correct full form for this one. And the proc is also important, which we will see later, because all the process related stuffs are here. This guy is the root. So similar to how we have inside a normal user in the home directory, we have it here. I mean, these are just a file downloaded, so ignore them. I mean, you're not going to be finding it here. It can be completely removed. And if you look at the extension, it's .dev. And we did talk about the extensions .rpm, .dev, and .exe for the Windows-based files. And yeah, so that's what you have. And if I want to see the content of, let's say, a temp directory, right? Temp is the temporary directory that we have here. So I can do now ls and tmp. So I'm able to see this. So the way I'm actually seeing this, and I could have done a cd, how the new people does cd here, cd into temp, and then run ls command here by sitting in this directory. So that's the one way to do it. So let me actually do that. And we run ls. So we see all the files that are present, right? So I'm able to do it here. I had to navigate all the way back here. I could have combined everything, right? So cd ... and then separator / .. and then separator / that would have been the root, and then tmp. So I could have done all of this in a one command. I mean, I had to run how many 3 different commands, while I could have done, I had to run this command cd tmp here when I was sitting here, and then I run this. So I could have done cd ... tmp, like that, and I could have been I would have found myself back in the temp directory, and then simply run this ls. So this is the one way to do it, and the most people would find it rather easy to do this way, because this is it's not very complicated. I mean, the other is also not very complicated if you know this. Nothing is complicated if you can imagine this whole thing in your head. If you can visualize whatever you are doing on the terminal, and then okay, where you are and where you have to go there. So you could do this. It's become very, very easy, and so the whole point, whole idea here is to get very comfortable with the Linux navigation, and you take it. You work with seamlessly on this one. So we could have done this, and if I'm doing cd ... and / ... from here, it would have been, this path is now relative path for me. Right? Because it doesn't start with the root. and that's the definition. Any path starts with the forward slash. That means that's absolute path. But this one is not starting with the root, right? Here in this, at least in this scenario, if I'm sitting here in my home directory, and if I'm doing this cd dot dot forward slash dot dot, the relative path is the idea behind the relative path is it's always going to be the easy. It won't be expensive. Right now, this is turning out to be an expensive path because I could have used a shortcut, not a shortcut, but I could have used the absolute path, which is not a shortcut actually. Normally, the relative path is the shortcut, and that's the reason why people use that. I could have used this command. Now you can tell me which has taken a less amount of keys, right? This would have been for the absolute path. Simply cd forward slash temp. So this has less keystroke, right? I mean, I didn't have to type dot 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 forward slash dot dot forward slash, basically 5 keystroke less while doing this. So here actually, because this would be cd forward slash tmp. So from here I can actually run this one, and it would, because starting from the root, it knows where to go, so it will directly come here, and that way actually rather easy for me, because this one is turning out to be a less expensive command. I mean, in terms of the number of keystroke that we are punching in. So cd dot dot cd dot dot, this is relative path, but it's turning out to be the long, and this one is is rather short. So that's not going to be the most of the cases. You'll find, you'll have the relative path will be the shortcut, or it'll take the less amount of keystroke for you to be there. So you should be able to identify which one to use when, and if you want to stick to the this guy, that's always going to be better. Anytime, if you want to start with the forward slash absolute path, that's always going to be the better, right? Anytime you want to come back to your home directory. So right now we are here in the temp directory, right? Now from here I want to come back to my home directory. I could do this all the way in the backward, right? And this time it will be, if I want to from temp to come back to here, then the command would be cd dot dot. So first time if I do dot dot, I'll find myself here on the root. Then I can do a separator. Then from here, I cannot use dot dot now. I'll have to use home and then name of my user, right? Whatever the directory. So this is the way to do that. If I want to come back here from the temp directory, or I could simply run cd enter. Because when I do cd enter and I don't supply anything, it will actually bring me to my home directory. So first, see the synopsis for this one. So let's take a look at that. If cd is the program or is the shell built-in. So cd is the shell built-in. It's not a shell program. So we will find a help page hopefully. For some reason that is not working. I mean, even cd seems to have a man page now. No manual page. cd help. H. Okay. So dash help seems to be working out. Otherwise, it would have been the help cd that also worked, but for some reason that's not working. So it's a shell built-in anyway, and for shell built-in, you don't have a man page, that's for sure. And there is a different variation. I think it's probably the different older operating systems that they're using, or maybe it's I don't know, it's has to do something with this specific operating system. But anyway, that's the way to see the usage of the manual page to read and work with that, right? So we have quite a few options available for us, and here is the usage where we can simply supply whatever we want. And if you look at that, everything is wrapped with this square bracket. I mean, this thing is wrapped with the square bracket. So everything that is present here itself is optional. So we can supply -l, -b, -e, @ and the directory in which we want to do the cd. And when we don't do this, cd, change the current directory dir. The default dir is the value of the home shell variable, right? So whatever the dir that we supply to cd command, it will be there. And if you don't, then the default is your home directory. Right. So your home directory, it'll be, it'll actually leave us to the home directory. So I can just do cd enter and I'm back in my home directory. I'll tell you one more shortcut. So you do the cd and you'll be back to your home directory, or you can cd into any other directory, right? If you know the path, like I want to go somewhere inside the etc, I have an application called, let's say, Nginx application I have. So I'll have Nginx here, and within Nginx, maybe I have a conf directory. And I can have few directories within Nginx. Let's say I have a one directory called const.d, and within the const.d directory, I want to come here, right? Because I have few files that maybe I want to do some editing here, right? I have a bunch of files here. Right? So I can, from here I can do /etc or dot and /etc Nginx const.d. I couldn't do this. What if I want to go back to the temp directory again, or any directory again? So there is, if you want to go back from, if you just do cd, you'll come here. But if you want to come here inside the country, then you're going to have to explicitly tell that path, right? That you want to come inside here. And that would be by either you do it with the absolute path, which would always start with the /. So you can do /etc Nginx const.d and you'll find yourself here. I mean, right now we don't have such directory. This is just hypothetical, because I can create and simulate this one, but the understanding is more important than actually doing executing it. So this is the way you could do that. And anytime you just hit cd without anything, so we've seen in the help page that by default it will take you to the home directory, right? Whatever your home directory is going to be. Now you want to go back, like accidentally, let's say you just enter cd and you want to go back to this path. And while this is while this path, so this was the previous command, right? Which we had to execute. So if I run cd from here, I'll be I'll be thrown all the way to here. I'll find myself here. But what if I want to go back to here, or if I want to go back to some other place which was quite nested, right? Which was very deep inside. So that would, that would be sometimes little time consuming to figure out again the path. We may not be able to figure out the path. The easiest way is to do is by just simply pressing cd dash. And what cd dash is going to do is just toggle between the last path, whatever you had. It won't go back all the way in history, like what was the last path before that. No, it won't do that way. If you do cd dash here, it will come here. What was the last cd you had? This was. So if you just play cd dash, you'll just find yourself toggle between these two paths. Well, you'll come here, and from here, what was the last path? This. So if you do cd dash again, you'll come back here. If you do cd dash again, this was the last path. So you just find yourself toggling between the last two paths. Whichever the last two paths, you can toggle that between the cd dash. So you won't be able to, let's say, if you were before this path, you were here, like let's say, Nginx const.d. So it won't go there. It will only deal with the last two cd commands, or the last two paths which you were present. So let me show you that as well. So I'm here. If I do cd dash again, I'm back to here. If I do cd dash again, I'll come back to here, right? So it's only going to toggle between the last two paths that I have. Even though my path, in the path history at least, I was actually using ... everywhere, right? So here what I wanted to show you is few things, how to work with the cd command with few different ways. And then there is another command of combining these two. You can use cd, that's what the newbies do. That's what I've seen a lot of people find themselves comfortable doing that as well. So first what they do, they change their directory, they go inside that directory, and then they do the ls. So two commands they are using, which could have been done with the one command. It's like as if you are in a house and you have 4 houses, you have 1 hall, and probably you have 4 bedrooms. So I'm asking you, can you check, can you see what are the content we have in the hall? I mean, what things we have kept in the hall. So the way you are doing is you are actually walking in the hall, and then you are seeing it. Well, you have the CCTV cameras placed everywhere, so you can just look into the CCTV and tell me that, which is like sitting in your own directory, sitting in your own bedroom. You can tell me what is there in the other bedroom, what stuff we have, what are the content we have in the other whether it's a hall or whether it's a different bedroom, right? Everywhere we have the CCTV camera. So you have two options: walk there and then tell me, or you can just look at the camera, so all the screens, and you can tell me that. Now, which would be so? Of course, just sitting in your home directory would be much better, right? Because you don't need to, you don't need to waste energy, or you don't need to put energy in order to do that. Same thing you can do here as well. Instead of doing cd dot 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 and then going inside that directory and then running the ls command, you could simply run this. And this is as good as the example that I've given, right? So you're just peeking in now. You're not inside the directory. You're looking in the directory from sitting here in this directory. So now from this directory, you are peeking, you are looking into this directory. So because this has the expensive command, it's turning out to be expensive command compared with this one. So I can do ls temp, that would be less keystroke. So this is the better command for me, right? So while you can do that if you are comfortable with this one, but you may want to switch to this one. And if you are not very good with that, and this will only happen with the practice, because the most important thing here is to imagine, not imagine, but picturize everything that is there on the terminal, because on terminal you don't see diagram like that. So you can always draw a diagram and try to find out, okay, where you are, and then work with that. So practice is the only key which will make you perfect, which will help you and help you to understand and navigate within the file system. And once you have the navigation in your head correctly recorded, then everything will become easy. You'll be able to deal with the other other commands that we have, and that we're going to start looking into as well. So in the beginning, you can do cd and look into that. The one common mistake that people use is, if I create something, what people will do over time, they'll just sit in their directory, and they can, from this directory, they'll be able to do everything, right? So in the last lecture, I showed you how to create a directory, how to create a file. Now sitting here, I can create a file here as well. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that. So I'll do touch, and I can use the expensive way of cd dash and tmp and then file name txt. Right. So this is created because I was in my home directory. I went back, and this guy was root at this moment here, and this is tmp, and this is the name of the file. Now I created this file here on this location, right? And that's what the people does, or at least the people who are new to Linux. They will create the file in the temp directory, and they'll do ls here, and they'll say, okay, I don't see my file here. So you created your file in the, you brought something, and that is present in your hall, and you are checking in your bedroom, right? Because this is your room or your bedroom. The thing that you have, it's probably in the different room. You have kept it in a different room, and you're searching in a different room, right? So you're never gonna find it. And I've seen a lot of people coming back to me with the question, I created this, but I don't see that when I run ls. So you need to know that you are present in this directory. You are looking into the wrong directory. So you need to look into the directory where you have created it, right? If you create something you have a bedroom, or you have a room in your house, which is called temporary storage or warehouse. So if you put something in the warehouse, you can't find that in your bedroom. You'll have to go and see in the in your warehouse. So the couple of method is, you cd into this one, and then you do the ls, or you could simply do the ls from here. That's the peeking that I'm talking about. And over time, you want to do that, because that's what gonna make it efficient for you. And if I do this way, now here is the file, right, which I created. So file name.txt along with the other files that are present here. Right. So this is very important. You want to know this. Where you are creating it, it's only going to present there, as long as you have taken the right path. Otherwise, this would have errored out if I were doing it somewhere else. Like if I don't do this, and if I run this, so it will simply say, okay, whatever you are doing, it doesn't exist. So what happening here is, I did cd dot dot, now I'm here, and from here I do a separator, and then I'm looking into rt admin local admin. If I had given rt admin local admin, this would have been recognized, but there is no such thing here called tmp, and that's what the complaint was. So no such file or directory. If I give the name RT admin or local admin, because these are the home directories that I have present, it would have worked, but it would have actually given you a different error this time, a permission error, because you are the user, you don't have permission to look into this or go inside this user's home directory. Only a root user, which is that has access. I mean, root is the father of everyone, all the file system that we have. So he can actually look in any location, that's not a problem. So only root can do that, right? So these are the few important things while working with a navigation that you want to keep in your mind, and you should do practice on this one.